Hello. Hi, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Rachel Wainaina, and I'm here with Kenya's best innovator, also a 2014 Mandela Washington Fellow. And may I say also, we went to the same University of Notre Dame, we were in the same fellowship year. This man has inspired me for years, and I think, Maurice, you actually inspired me even before we went to Yali. I was so inspired by your story, making the speed governor, and now just to see that you've grown and your company to an 8 billion, company in Kenya, the only company that is leading in IoT in Africa and more. So we are so excited to be here, and we'll be listening to the entire story of Maurice Betzer. And one of the things I want to say is that when you see someone making it in life, it takes time and a process. And our story today will be going deep into looking into the process or the making of the man we now call Maurice Betzer. Karibu sana to the interview. And maybe you can just quickly introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
So my name is Maurice Betzer, born, raised in Kenya in a place called Mombasa, in a small village called Mariakani. And my background is in electronics. I started designing electronics way back when I was, I think, like 6 years old. And growing up, I grew up with a single parent. Actually, even the single parent was at some point not there, so I was raised by my grandmother. And I grew up in a very small village where we didn't have electricity. So I developed passion whereby I had to passion with technology, and I had to create everything. So I did a lot of innovation, not just for the innovation's sake, but also to survive, because we didn't have electricity. So I had to build my own light, because at that time, remember, you sleep with a kerosene lamp. When you wake up in the morning, when you look at it, like touch your nose, there's a lot of soot. So I had to start innovating on lighting, on battery, on solar, on mobility, because we didn't have, we used to walk very long distance to go to school. Security. So that's the environment that I grew up with, and it shaped the kind of a person I am today, because I learned on innovating according to the environment. Like any challenge that I used to face growing up, I used innovation and technology to be able to solve that, and that's how I became the innovation that I am today. And that's where that's the I would say the foundation of numeral IoT.
Oh, that's interesting. You've just said something very interesting there, that you invented power.
Yes.
In order for you to be able to read.
Yes.
So where was this? Where was this happening? Where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in a small village called Mariakani. It's the coastal part of Kenya, and so that side there are places where there was electricity, but where I grew up, there's no electricity, no roads. So for me to go to school, we had to walk like almost 10 kilometers to go to school. Electricity completely off, no mobile phones, no computer, no TV. I think the first time that I watched TV, I think when I was like 6 or 7 years, and from neighbor's house, not even. So even a house that I would say that we owned that had TV. I think had cleared my primary school. I think almost cleared my high school. So surviving when the other people that I was growing up with, they saw challenges in life in terms of the hardship. For me, I saw an opportunity for me to be able to create. So each and every challenge that I went through when I was growing up, I created a solution in terms of like innovating around that. And as well, because I was young, no resources. So, and that really played a key role to what the company has become today, because for example, let's say you don't have light, so you need to innovate and be able to create electricity, but also you don't have the resources for you to be able to build that particular solution. Now, you have to first innovate the process and use whatever is available for you to be able to create that innovation that you want to create. So first the process, because you have no resources, then also now the innovation itself, whereby for it to be able to bring to develop the solution you have. And I think the skills that I developed growing up with that kind of hardship and that kind of mentality, whereby you don't need to have everything for you to be able to build a good product, and you don't you can for me, I feel there's always a solution to any problem as long as you put in the right mindset. You're able to be able to you can be able to solve many problems. So with that mindset, it helped me to be able to develop a unique way of solving problems in terms of doing big solutions with limited resources, and that played a key role to what the company has become today, because what we have achieved today, no single company has achieved in Africa.
Wow. And I wanted to say, like, what would you say, who would you say was your inspiration? Like, did people used to find you normal, like when you were growing up, like when you were 6, and you're discovering these things, like you're innovating? Were you supported by did you have a support system, or was it just you in your own world, and then everybody else calling you mad? I'm just curious.
So funny enough, in my family, nobody used to think like the way I used to think. Nobody created. And I remember when I started doing innovation, because the whole initially nobody believed in the things that I was building. But then later, when they saw I have an idea and then I implemented it, and then they see it working, so my village now used to like come to me for solutions. Let's say if somebody's radio has a problem, they used to bring it to me for me to be able to do the repairs. But initially, they never believed in what I was building. But then that time, I remember someone told me that they've seen people from West and from where they'll tell you, you know what, Maurice, we've seen someone who has built an aeroplane and they're nowhere. Because you see, that time, you remember, you've had a lot of innovation coming from Kenya. But then, after a year, that person is in the same village, and there's no much steps that in terms of the welfare of that person. So the thinking was, no matter what, you are not better than anybody else. You'll just innovate these things, na utabakia, you'll stay where you are. So I also wanted to prove people wrong, whereby I want to become a different kind of an innovator, whereby I will build these solutions, and I will also be the first one to bring a change, and also to inspire other young people and show them the way. Because for me, when I think about innovation, for example, if it's in music, if you're an artist, you create a song, you go to studio, you record, you take it to a radio station, they play, and then you become famous. If you're a footballer, you play for your local team, you play in maybe your county, then your country, then. But if you're an innovator, you want to build a mobile phone, there's no like clear path for you to be able to follow, for you to become successful, because nobody has done it in your village, nobody has done it in your county, nobody has done it in your country. So when I was doing this, I said, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I've chosen to do with my life, and I will prove people wrong, and I will be the first person to be able to bring these ideas into reality, and as well create a path for other young people to follow, because nobody's doing it. And then even in school, if you go to ask, I want to create a product, even my lecturer or my teacher has not created something like that before. So there's nobody to advise you. So I used to read a lot of books. I remember when I was 6-7 years, I used to read physics books for university, for high school, and I would understand what these, like the concepts that are in these books. And as I was growing up, left my village, I came to Nairobi, I joined Kenya Poly. And I was in Kenya Poly for only 3 months, and I dropped out. Simple because I felt the institution, the way the institution was at that time, a lot of improvements have occurred over the years. But that time, I felt out of place, because for me, I believe education is not there to convert your brain into file cabinets just to store the information. You're supposed to get that information and use it to be able to solve problems that in our society. So when I was there, I remember that time I had an idea. I wanted to create a device whereby I would be able to monitor vehicles, control your vehicles using mobile phone. And then when I ask questions about particular parts, so in year 1 I'm told no, that is year 6. So I felt there's no way that I'll stay in an institution, wait for 6 years for me to get knowledge so that I can implement it in what I wanted to do. So I left, I read online. So I read everything, and I've done a lot in terms of my industry, and everything I learned from just doing research online, not gone through like I would say an institution, because I felt the way institutions were at that time, and even now some institutions I feel they make students to go out and seek employment, not create jobs. And also in terms of the industry that we are in now, because if you look at technologies changes, tech changes every year, even cameras. Today you have this version, next year you have another version. Same thing with life. Today you're here, tomorrow another technology has come, Android, you name it. Every day there's upgrades for software for mobile phones. That means even our institutions have to upgrade every year and be able to teach students what is relevant, that will make them, I would say, when they go to the job market, that they'll be able to take value to the job market. So these are some of the challenges that I've went through right from growing up, high school, when I tried to join a technical institution. But I thank God, because what I dreamt about when I was growing up, what I wanted to achieve, I feel that I have achieved. And this is just the beginning, because that time the problem was in my village, then the problem became Kenya. Now I'm looking at the whole of Africa. What I've built in Kenya, I want to take it across Africa, and to inspire as many young people as possible to come into tech and to do what we are doing now.
Okay. So Morris, umetuambia vitu mzuri sana kuhusu like college life, which I really believe in, and the way you came from now the village, and from your scope, you started with your scoping at home in Mombasa, and came to Kenya. Now you're in Africa, and I wanted to know about when is all this happening? Like when, like what time, like so that you can visualize. What time was your primary to let's say university? It's not university, technical university.
Yes.
It was mwaka gani? Maybe you can tell us from that period,
yes.
And tell us the period. What was your why? When did you start now knowing this is what I want to do? Because I know, yes, you started at 6 years, but I feel like there's a why. You always had a why, and the why started getting realized after you dropped out of the technical universities. So I also want to know the timing. I just want to hear about the timing. So maybe you can start by answering the first question, which is the time between like the 6 years when you started producing
yes.
power to the time, in terms of when was it to this time. Maybe tell us that first.
So I think in terms of
time,
mwaka gani? Yes. But I'm very bad with the years. So yeah, as I've said, I started.
No, or maybe how old were you?
Yes, so I started. As I've said, I started designing solutions when I was around. Kevo, tunawasikia. Yeah. So I started designing, coming up with innovations when I was around 6 years. I wouldn't call it designing, because it wasn't like much of a designing, but just coming up with solutions using technology, and as well using resources that were available. Let's say if I wanted to build a product, I wouldn't, there's no way that I would have gone online to look for parts or to get professional advice from people who have been doing this before. So I used to like look around, let's say people that have thrown away batteries, radios that are spoiled, which part can I be able to get from junks to be able to build the solutions that I have. So I remember my room was full of junks, and I remember there's a time my mom wanted to throw them away. It was a big fight. I wouldn't allow. Like I had this attachment with I think even now when I move houses, I carry things that I do not even use, but I don't throw away electronics, even motherboards that don't even work. And so that was 6 years. I did a lot of solutions that time, and I'll give you a story now. I told you every single challenge that even it doesn't seem that technology is able to solve, I used to solve with technology. I remember when I was like 8 years, so football was very common in my village, and people used to watch football on TV. That time I think KBC, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation used to broadcast TV. We didn't have TV. So you were supposed to pay five shillings, then you watch TV. So since I didn't have that kind of money to be able to watch TV, so I developed a device whereby the moment I turned on that device, the entire village, nobody was able to watch TV. Like all the signals will be. So unless I watch football, nobody else will. So like you see, it's a solution that I developed to be able to help me watch. You see that. So every single thing. I remember when I was in primary school, somebody broke my locker and stole my books. So I went to my junks, I took a transformer, small battery. So the entire school knew that if you touch my locker, you get electrocuted. So like these different problems, but I came up with solutions, always. Now, so that was the mindset, and as well using the available resources. I never used to complain that like I want to build this, but I don't have this. First, I'll come up with a solution and then look around what is there for me to be able to build what I have. Then after that, I went to high school. So my high school life, I remember when I joined Form 1. So there were a lot of clubs in the high school that I went. So there's drama, there's all these clubs. So there's physics club, and I remember there's something called Science Congress. I think you know Science Congress.
Yes.
So I remember the first project that I took for Science Congress, and everybody was surprised. And in Science Congress there was a theory, like you just have a concept, but then you practical, like you present a concept that you've built a prototype.